Are you tired of the daily grind? Have you ever just dreamed of escaping the rat race and sailing off into the sunset in your own boat, but you've been put off with the price of buying one? We were too, until we looked into it fully. Then we bought an old boat for less than the price of a second-hand car, and with no sailing experience, I sailed over 1,000 miles round the British coast to our home. So follow us as we rebuild this wee boat and take her round the world to remote places and have the adventure of a lifetime, but within a budget that the average person could afford. Hi, I'm just editing this week's video and I thought it might be a bit confusing for people that's new to the channel. At one point in the video I mentioned that, I wasn't sleeping and things like that. It's due to the PTSD. I go through cycles that I really don't sleep well. But rather than sit here and feel defeated, I've a tendency to do things that I can do without disturbing people. On occasion in this channel, you will see me doing things at crazy times of night. And they're just times that I can't really sleep, and rather than waste nights sitting watching TV or doing nothing productive, I've got a tendency to go and do the things that I can do. So, I thought I should probably explain that a wee bit. It's not the end of the world, and actually, I can get quite a lot done when everybody else is sleeping, strangely enough. It does mean that I'm absolutely shattered the next again day, but such is life, you crack on and you just do the best you can, kind of thing. But I thought I should probably explain that, especially with this week's video not going the way I had hoped. But these things happen, I'll crack on and try again next time. Anyway, on with the video. Now, I'm aware that I'm going to be doing a lot of grinding and a lot of sanding and things over the next few months. And I'm not always the best at wearing respirators and things. It's something that I need to remember to do, but I'm also going to set this up. I used to do a lot of wood turning and carving and things, and in my workshop I had these extractors for a dust extraction system. So now when I'm sanding and things, I can have this inside and it'll suck the air outside and blow it out the end of the hose. They don't take a lot of power, so they're quite handy, and they are quite strong fans. I mean, they do quite a lot of cubic meters per hour of air, so I'm going to set one of these up inside the boat, and it'll make things a lot healthier for everybody. I thought I would put this in here because there have been a lot of people that have been concerned that concerned that I'm an idiot sometimes and I don't put the respirator on when I should. So anytime you see sanding or grinding or anything from now on, this will be in and it'll be switched on, and I will try and remember to put my respirator on, at least in front of the camera anyway. Anyway, I just thought I'd let you know so you would stop worrying. Good morning. I just wanted to make this video to thank everybody that's supporting us on Patreon. It was actually quite a hard decision for me because I don't make a habit of accepting help. Usually I'm the person that's doing the helping, so I had to swallow my pride quite a lot just to set it up. But I think in order to achieve our goals, I don't think they're doable just on my wage, no matter how ingenious I am. I just don't think that one of those big liveaboard catamarans is within our budget. Certainly no in the next few years. So I was convinced to swallow my pride a bit and do this Patreon. So thank you very much to everybody that's put their hand in their pocket to support us. I'm going to do my level best to bring you content from every nook and cranny in the world, everywhere that you have never seen. That's where I want to go. I want to bring you footage every week that's entertaining and engaging, so that you can come in after a hard day's work and sit and watch this fool trying to fix boats and sail them around the world and things. So thank you very much. Hi, I'm having one of those nights that I'm not sleeping very well. I go through kind of cycles of them. So rather than sit doing nothing, I decided to come to the boat. It's pitch black and everybody else in the world is in bed, but the boat's in the middle of nowhere, and I'm not going to disturb anybody, so I'd be as well getting on with some bits and pieces. As I said, wee bit weird, but it's rather this than lie in bed wriggling and tossing and turning and keeping poor Sally awake all night. So you get to follow me in my crazy journeys. We're going to continue with the stringers and things today, and preparing to get these through hulls done and things. So I've got the engine running just on tick over, just to keep the battery topped up, because I'm running quite a lot of lights just now. Not on the outside, just on the inside, so that I can see what I'm doing. As I said, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so I'm not disturbing anybody or anything like that. So I'd be as well cracking on and doing something positive rather than sitting doing nothing, waiting on the daylight coming kind of thing. Anyway, here we go. Let's see what I can get done. Now, I'm still, as you know, I'm still learning a lot of this camera work and things, so sometimes you'll see me cutting about with this GoPro on my head and things like that. Just ignore it. It's me kind of trying to find different ways of getting different angles so that you can see what I'm doing and things. One of the things I learned early on from viewers is that you want to see the details. So the GoPro thing on my head seems to work quite well when I can get the angle right, but I can't see what the GoPro is seeing, so quite often it's either looking at the bridge of my nose or looking at the sky and things, so it's a work in progress. But just ignore it when you see it. It's, as I said, it's me trying to get different angles for you, and so as I said, I'm just going to carry on with these stringers and things and get them measured up, and then I've got the contour measuring device with me today, which will allow me to measure the width of the board and things, and it will allow me to get the contour of the board and stuff. And I've got a scribe with me as well, so we should be able to get that in cardboard, but because the board's so long, I'm going to have to bring that in two pieces in the car, because our dinghy's 3.2 metres. By the time I get my fat backside in there, it's more like 2 metres. So it's a juggling act trying to get things in, but we'll get there. We had quite bad storms and a lot of rain there recently, and I'm happy to see when I come in today that there's no water in the boat. Usually there would be a wee pool somewhere, a wee puddle, but there's nothing at all. So I'm happy to see that. And as I said, I'm going to crack on, because it's so late, just in case people are trying to sleep and things. One of the first things you get taught in the forces is that noise carries a lot further at night, with the air being colder and thinner. So rather than using power tools and generators, I'll be using hand saws and things like that. just to be respectful of any people that are round about. It's no their fault that I can't sleep, so they shouldn't have to suffer, kind of thing. But anyway, we'll crack on and we'll see what we can get done. The extended version of this, as I said last week, that will go on to Patreon, and then I'll condense everything else down into about an hour, like I've been doing, and put that on YouTube. And I think that's the way we're going to go from now on. I kind of feel bad for Patreon just now, because until I find my level with them, you know, they might actually get bombarded with updates and a lot more details. You know, I'm not quite sure how far to go, whether people want to see the entire job or, you know. So it'll take me a wee while to get the measure of that as well, but we'll get there. But aye, there's definitely going to be a lot longer stuff on Patreon and a lot more details for the people that want to see that. And the people that enjoy the hour format, that'll always go up on YouTube just the same. So aye, let's crack on and see what we get done. Aye. But I think the videos are getting better as time goes on, so I'm quite happy with the progress I'm making. I'm using quite a lot of different software as well, trying to edit it and things like that. And even apparently just making the thumbnail is an absolute art form in itself. There's a lot of different apps and websites just that specialise on that. So the whole process is actually really interesting. I'm enjoying learning it. But aye, it is taking this old brain of mine quite a while to pick it up. But we'll get there, we'll see how it goes. Okay, so by the time I take the corners off that, it'll bring it down to this level, which is a point. I said in the last video that, you know, there's no really any point of bringing a level onto a boat. I don't know if you can see where that bubble is. It's actually not too bad. But the boats never usually sit that level. It's more about getting the board to flow from one side to the other and not have any undulations in it. But this is sitting not too bad, in fairness. It's sitting like this, the bubble slightly to this side, because all the weight, I've got all the tools and I've got the fuel in the back, so aye, it's sitting not too bad, to be honest. Right, what did we do? Right, I'm going to just crack on with these and then I'll come back in and we'll see where we are then. Aye, there's no point you sitting watching my hands sawing everything. So once I've got it all sawn and kind of cut to size, then we can look at making up some thickened epoxy and put it in. So aye, we'll come back in then. Now, that's me got the stringers tabbed in. They're going to need a wee while to dry and it looks kind of messy now, but by the time I get them sanded down and painted, it's aye, it's going to be an awful lot better. I think they're probably overkill how much I've got them tabbed in for such a small space, but I'd rather have them slightly too strong than not strong enough. So I'm going to get a wee bite to eat while I'm waiting on these kicking, and then we will look at sanding them and getting this bilge cleaned and painted, because it looks terrible, to be honest. But aye, we'll come back in once I'm doing that. Obviously I've got this bit still to do here because I need to get out rather than paint myself into a corner. But aye, that's the stringers are tabbed in, it's had its sand down and its first coat of bilge paint. It's just this Belgian locker paint here. It's good because it's oil proof and things, although there shouldn't be any oil comes down in here because it's an outboard engine. So aye, I've got this last section here to paint, but it's also the section with the, the through hulls. So we're going to do them in the next day or so. So aye, once I've got them done, I'll get this last section painted. But it's looking good. I'm not very good at painting. Thankfully it's just the first coat. Sally's much better at painting than me, so she'll catch the second coat and make it look an awful lot better. But I think that's a vast improvement on what it was. That horrible kind of rusty stuff there. Even although we're going to put that headliner stuff with the foam in it, we're going to put that in there and up here and in all the berths and things. So this paint is, I think it's just to cheer things up now. But aye, it's looking a lot better and I'm happy with that. So now I've got the measurements for the boards. Once this dries, I can get in there and measure the cardboard template and things, and then I can get the floorboard on it. I think I might epoxy the board as well, even though it's marine ply. I'll give it an epoxy anyway just to seal it. And as I said, I'll stick some Sikaflex around the edge and then I'll tab that in as well. Aye, happy days. Right, I'm going to have to run because Lily needs to go to work, so aye, I'll catch you tomorrow. Yes.
I'm going back up.
Okay. Now, this might look a little bit weird, but we're doing a bit of a ninja run over to the harbour so that we can dry out. Low tide is at about 4 AM, so we're going to get over just now. Oh, I'm sorry, we must be disturbing the ducks. Aye, we're going to get over just now, or I am. I'm going to get tied up so that at 4 AM when the water settles, we'll be able to start doing the fiberglass inside. And by the time low tide's done and back up, I should have everything on and have it all painted. We're having to do this because of the weather and because of the tides just now, and because of the sheer amount of fishing boats that's in the harbour. I thought I was actually going to have to go and beach it on a beach somewhere and do it there just with generators, but we've managed to get a space, so aye, we'll do it there. But yes,
Hi.
definitely a bit unconventional. Aye. Right, anyway, less talking, more moving. Now, I don't know how well you can see that. It's just before daylight. I managed to get a space down in the harbour here to do the fiberglass. The thing with this boat is it floats in about a foot of water if you've got the centre boards down. So I'm just waiting. I mean, it's just started touching at the top. As you can see, it goes deeper here. But here, it's still floating just by a few inches, so I'm just sitting here trying to get it gently positioned perfectly so that I can still get in here to work, but it gives me the most enclosed space that I can so that I can get it hot. With it being a working harbour, people have already been working for a couple of hours, so I'm not going to disturb anybody, even although it's not quite daylight yet. But aye, I think to say that I'm concerned about this is an understatement. But as I said in last week's video, I have done this before. You've just got to get it timed right. I've already got all the fiberglass cut, and I've got all the epoxy sitting ready. I've got the peel ply cut, I've got the paint ready, so it's going to be rapid fire. And I don't know how much yet I'm going to be able to film, but aye, we're going to go for it, because the weather for the next while is only going to deteriorate. One of our subscribers told me in last week's video that, you know, the green on the bronze isn't too bad, it's once you start getting pink. So I was reassured by that a bit, but still, I think I'd like to get this buttoned up before the weather comes in. So aye, it's going to be a rapid fire session today. I think I get about, if I can get this perfectly, as soon as this starts touching the bottom and the water gets just below the two skin fittings, or the two through holes, I'm going to cut them from the inside. I'm going to do the inside, and I'm going to get that, once I've got everything on, I'm going to get it up to about 30 degrees. The good thing is I've got shore power here, so I've got 2 fan heaters and a wee gas heater and a hot air gun if needs be. So aye, I'm going to do the inside first, and that can be kicking while I'm out here doing the outside. By the time that I'm doing the inside, the water should be completely away from the outside, and that'll let me in here to work. Or that's the theory anyway. Let's hope it works like that. Now, I'm right up close to this old fishing boat. It's really well tied against the wall, so it hasn't moved all day, other than to go straight up and down. But if you can see where the propeller and the rudder is there, you see how little water there is at the bottom of that, and yet this catamaran's still floating. She's absolutely incredible. It does mean that I've got as little time as possible to do the epoxy, so I will have to get a move on as soon as she starts gripping. But aye, I thought I'd just let you see how little water she actually floats in once these centre boards are up. As I said, she's absolutely amazing. Now, things didn't work out quite as I'd planned. The low tide passed about half an hour ago, and the water never got low enough to where the boat actually stopped floating. So I think I'm going to have to go back to the drawing board. This is a boat ramp, and strangely enough, it's actually 10 metres across, which is more than a metre longer than my boat. And you get these shackles here at set intervals all the way up. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to come up here and just put her down on top of this. The incline isn't too much, but what does happen is this whole area here dries out much faster than the rest. I mean, it's not quite daylight yet because it's just about 5:30 in the morning. But aye, this whole area dries out. I mean, it's about half an hour after low tide, and they're still sitting 2 metres down below this ramp. So I think what I'm going to do is, as I said, go back to the drawing board, and I'll pull her up here. I'm used to coming up here. I've come up here with a lot of small boats and things, so there's a deeper channel right in the centre there that comes right up to this ramp. So I'll come up that. It's not going to be this week because, again, we've got 40 knot winds coming, so aye, this might end up being a very short video. But the reason that she never dried out properly is because this is a council harbour, and it's basically a dumping ground for old boats. There's 2 fishing boats been lying here since last December, unmoved, unused. I mean, the people that own them live 300 miles away. But aye, they're sitting up against the wall, and that means that there's limited areas that I can use. I'll show you once I go back up. It's about 300 metres away. But that 300 metres makes a lot of difference with the water level. I'll show you once I go up. Now, as you can see, she's behind that other fishing boat. And that fishing boat's in front of another one, or behind this one. And that extra kind of 35 metres along the wall there, it makes all the difference. It doesn't quite dry out, especially when it's no spring tides. I mean, I could get her in here, but as you can see, there's rocks right here, and then there's kind of 10 metres here, but it would mean that I'd have to keep her tight on the cleats on the wall, which would mean she wouldn't get far enough out. I mean, it's only barely dry here, and then I don't know if you can see the water moving. That's only the space of about 10-15 metres. So aye, back to the drawing board. These, as I said, these two boats have lay here the entire year. I think one of them is getting worked on, and this old thing from Aberdeen has just lay there since last December. God knows what's happening with that, but aye, I don't know if it's abandoned, but it's pretty much. It's leaking, it lists heavily, it's an absolute wreck. And it's just lay here cluttering up space and stopping people from using the wall for an entire year. But as I said, that's council harbours for you. They're just dumping grounds for old boats. Aye, I think I'll have to go back to the drawing board, and next time there's decent weather, I'll put her up on the ramp there. And just before she goes fully down on the ramp, I'll put rubber mats under her, just to stop it getting scratched up. Aye, I mean, there's 10, maybe 12 metres there, but as I said, you're straight onto rocks there, and this is where the last loop is here. So you're pulling your bow there, and then your stern is up on this ladder here, and then there's the other boat right there that's already roped onto this one. Aye, I'll go back to the boat and I'll start preparing her, getting her ready for to move. I mean, in the space of half an hour she'll be able to float out of there, and I'll be able to get her back to the mooring. And then I might just sit and have some breakfast and enjoy the sunrise. Well, that was a bit frustrating. I mean, I had everything ready. I even had the epoxy heating so that it would kick faster. I had the heater sitting on it, so aye, but at least I got to see this. What an amazing sunrise. Absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, there's enough water now that I can get this boat turned round and get it back over to the mooring. Aye, I'll get it back over to the mooring and we'll see what we can do from there. Well, that's me just heading out of the harbour now. Just do a quick turn in here, and then I'll head back across. It's a beautiful morning, but it's supposed to be 35-40 knots later on, so I'm keen to get back over onto the mooring and get safe before that happens. Once I get over there, we'll see what I can get up to there. I'm sure I'll find some trouble to get into. Anyway, we'll see when we get over there. One of the jobs I wanted to get done this week was the rope in this pulley. It's had quite a lot of use over the years, and it's seen better days. It's got to the stage that I can feel the core slipping as I'm pulling on it, and as it gets further down here I can actually see it going through a bit. So it's time to change that before it has a catastrophe and fails. I'm gonna cheat and do it the easy way, or what should be the easy way. I'm going to tape the new rope onto the end of the old rope, and I'll just pull it through that way. So aye, it should be the easy way, we'll see. Now, as I said, I'm just going to wrap these and pull them through. It saves taking everything apart and trying to feed it. Just make sure this is strong enough to actually pull through. I think this was actually the original rope that I got with that pulley, so I can't really complain. Now, that should be strong enough as long as I take care with it. This one first, I'll just pull this through. I'm just making sure that I pull enough through that I can do the entire pulley. And of course it does that thing where it kinks into knots because it's new rope. Right, I've got a loop on the end of it here just to sit in this cleat so I don't lose the rope overboard. And then I'll pull that one through. Right, there's enough there for the end. So then we go back up. No, it's actually down here again. It's this fuzzy one here. You can see that I'm well used to doing ropes. I'm going to end up getting myself tangled into a knot here. It seems to be sticking. There we go. Now, that's that one on. And then it's this way, I think. That sounds like my bottle of juice just tipped over. Now, here we go. So I can pull this and just get it all tidied up and then put the eye on the end, because that's me got the whole rope out and the new rope on. So I'll get this tidied up and I'll come back in and I'll show you. This is a brand new rope. Well, it was brand new in April, but it's never been used before. Strangely enough, I'm using it for the Genoa, and the sun absolutely bleached it to bits. You can see the difference between the stuff that's lying in the bag and the stuff that's been out on deck. The UV is just taking the colour right out it, and I imagine it's taking the strength out it somewhat as well. So I think I'm going to have to invest in some really good quality rope. I mean, this wasn't cheap stuff, but aye, it's the sun's fairly bleached it. Anyway, I'll crack on with this and I'll come back in once I've got it finished. Now, that's it all put in. There's a lot less friction on it. It's a lot easier to pull. So I think because the old rope was kind of frayed, I think it was causing a bit of friction as well. So at least I got one wee job done. Aye. I think I'm frustrated because I never got the through hulls done. But I can only do what I can do. As I said, I'll go back to the drawing board and try it another time. Maybe try it at a spring tide where there's a bigger rise and fall. That'll give me more time. And as I said, I'll take it onto the ramp rather than in against the wall, trying to work round about those fishing boats. Anyway, I think I'm just rambling here for the sake of it now. So aye, I'll go and find something else to do. Now, one of the other things I'm trying to get on top of a bit this week is the electrics. Because believe it or not, that is actually powering lights just now. I only just came across it, so obviously it's going to get decommissioned. But there is live wires all over the boat. I've just been going round about with the voltmeter, and these ones are live as well, and these ones here. So I'm going to go through to the circuit board and I'm just going to take all of that off, because this is live here and yet this light doesn't go on. So I don't quite know what's going on with it. We're going to have to get all these boards off, and I'm going to strip every bit of the wiring out. I don't know if I mentioned in a previous video, but I've got 90 metres of tinned wire. I've got 14 gauge, and then I think I've got 4 gauge to come from the batteries to bus bars, and then from the bus bars to everything else, to the switch panels, to switch panels like that. I will have 14 gauge tinned wire on it. But electricity is something that I really don't like playing with. I don't like the idea of these live wires just being randomly behind boards and under ceiling boards and things like that. So I'm going to go round and I'm going to test everything today, and we'll get everything decommissioned that's live. If you like these videos and want to help support us to make more, as well as getting ad-free videos and lots of exclusive content, including much longer, more in-depth videos, then click the link in the description below and head over to our new Patreon. And thank you in advance. Now, I'm sorry that video never turned out the way I had hoped. I had actually planned to do most of the video with the through hulls being done and things like that, and video us beaching the boat, and have an entire video on that. Obviously it never happened, and I think I'm going to go and do it on the slipway. We'll put some rubber mats down just to save the bottom of the boat, and as I showed you, there's some shackles there that we can put the ropes from the cleat to there and get as much time as possible. I think I'm probably going to do it at a time when the tide drops, when it's a higher tide and it drops further for longer, just to give me as much time as possible. But aye, it never worked out, which kind of leaves this video up in the air a wee bit. It's certainly not how I planned it. I had everything all set up, as I said, I had the epoxy resin, the heating and everything, so that it would kick super fast. But these things happen. Hopefully the next video will be better. This video, everything was hinging on me getting the through hulls done so that I could then board up the interior and start making cabinets and things like that, putting floors down and stuff. But that'll still happen, just in another video. So aye, I'm sorry it never turned out quite as we'd hoped. I hope you still enjoyed the video. I didn't want to just not put anything up. I know people enjoy the videos and they kind of wait on them, so I wanted to put something up at least. And at least let everybody know what happened, I want my videos to reflect the positive things that happen and the failures, when things just don't go right. I'm not going to be one of these people that glosses over the truth and hides all the bad bits, because like everybody else, some things go right and some things don't. And I think it's important to show that. Anyway, we'll end the video here for this week. If you wouldn't mind, like, share and subscribe, even although this was a bit of a damp squib, it will still help the channel get out there. And thank you for everybody that messaged us about our Patreon. We really appreciate it. As I've said, it's not something we took lightly. It was something that I had to be convinced into. That is going to help us bring a lot more content in the future from all over the world. So again, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time. Take care.